poked away, picked up by Andre from three-quarters, and he hit it! He had his eyes on the prize and let it fly!
Happy New Year, Tannimals. It is the first. Well, yeah. It's not the first Tanndemonium Sports Show.
No.
2022. I was so excited about it being 2022 that I'm ready to announce. Yeah, it's the first one of 2022. No, it's only the second. But it is our first Tanndemonium Sports Show of 2022 with our special guest. He joins us every second Tuesday of the month. Pittsburgh's own Josh Taylor of 93.7 the Fan, among others, and KDKA TV here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Josh Taylor, my friend, not Trey Dobbs, my friend.
I was waiting on that.
Josh, how the hell are you? Happy New Year, brother.
I'm excellent, man. Happy New Year to you guys. Jackson, I got to give a very first curse with Woo Pig. Our boys locked it down.
Yes, sir.
State. I'm very happy about that. I was expecting a lot more smoke from around this area. I got like next to none. So I not only am I'm happy, but I'm also very unbothered. So let's keep this rolling into 2022. I'm excited. I'm excited for the Razorbacks. I'm excited for Sam Pittman. Let's go.
Me too. Is it Bumper Pool coming back?
Yes,
for
Bumper
another
Pool's
year.
coming back. One
Bumper
of my favorite names in college football, besides Habakkuk Baldonado for Pitt defensive lineman. Another one of my favorite college football names. But yeah, Bumper Pool's back. I'm excited. This is good.
Yeah. Disappointed that Fouché has entered the transfer portal. But
Yeah.
I haven't heard much of anything else after that. If it's like a Caleb Williams situation where he's like, I could come back, just see what you have to offer me with this, these new name, image, and likeness deals. But it is what it is.
Testing the market, so to speak. Testing the market.
See, that's awesome. A lot of good things going on. We have a new college football national champion in the Georgia Bulldogs.
Dogs.
Yes,
Heard a lot of Roll Tide leading up to last night. Haven't been hearing much of that lately. And
they'll be back.
They always
they never take much time off. So.
Hey, the Crimson Tide is they're like a horror movie villain. They never go away.
Oh, absolutely not. That's totally true.
But today is also, gentlemen, a holiday in football circles. Today is Black Monday, the Monday after the regular season when coaches are getting the axe. And I would be remiss if I don't bring up the biggest shock of Black Monday, and that is Bryan Flores. Bryan Flores.
Mm-hmm.
This is
I don't get it.
Yielding the floor to Jackson. Just
I definitely.
Yeah.
Hold on. I gotta yell. I gotta yell at a new kid in Vendetta for spelling my name wrong. I gotta yell at him real quick. So Jackson, you go.
Did he spell Bryan with an I instead of a Y?
Yes.
Common mistake. Rookie mistake.
Yeah.
Not off to a great start.
Yeah, he's already off to a bad start. You don't spell my name wrong.
So where do I even begin with this thing, man? It's just there's so many angles to this, and it's tough to even try to start. I'm sure once I get going, I'll find it easy to keep going.
That's what we're anticipating, pretty much.
Yeah, but I guess I just have to start out with the fact that personally, I didn't think Flores was perfect. I didn't think he was a good coach. I didn't think he was a bad coach, or I didn't think he was a great coach or a bad coach. I thought he's kind of fell somewhere in between. And within the fandom, you kind of have two sides that really, it's not really like people that didn't like Flores or liked Flores. It's more like it all still centers around Tua. Everything comes back to Tua. So it's like Tua supporters didn't like hardcore Tua supporters didn't really care much for Brian Flores, and people that didn't like Tua, they're all of a sudden Flores guys and gals.
Now, let me toss one question in here that I think might provide some context. Do you believe the reports that Brian Flores wanted Justin Herbert over Tua when that draft came around?
See, I have heard 3 conflicting reports, and because it's insane. So I have seen reports from which also I'm going to tell you where I saw these reports. I'm not going to be someone like Colin Cowherd that just says where it's just like reports say. It's like, well, tell us the damn reports, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a historian. I would get flagged if I didn't provide my notes, my sources, if I didn't tell you exactly where, what page, who wrote it, when was it written. I would get flamed for that in academia if I didn't do that. And it should be, I'm just saying the standard should carry over from the humanities into journalism, because
here's the issue.
Journalism 10, 15 years ago, you had to cite sources or you would say sources spoke.
Unless it's something like that.
Here's the problem though. Because people don't think people know where the lines are drawn. Colin Cowherd's not a journalist.
No,
that is
Colin
true.
Cowherd
That's
is a
true.
radio host. Like,
that's true.
We gotta.
He's an entertainer.
We gotta
That's
really
true.
draw the lines
That's
between
true.
who's who, because we was like, oh, well, you're a journalist. I'm like, I'm on my radio show right now. What are we talking about? Now, if there's stuff that I need to talk about as far as based on fact and background, okay, now my background as a TV journalist does come into play. That's an entirely different situation. And they're like, oh, well, you heard you reporting on the radio. I'm not reporting. I'm giving my opinion. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think people really understand the lines. I just want to throw that out there. That's not for you, Jackson. That's for some of you guys who can't tell the difference. Radio hosts, for the most part, are usually not considered journalists because most of them do not have journalistic range. But continue. I apologize.
There was a fan side report from last year. The website, it's called Fanside, but then it's like, they've got like sub sites that are a part of Fansite that are attached to Fanside. It's a weird, intricate web that they have over there. It's kind of confusing sometimes. But they had an article where one of their guys was talking about, Flores, he wanted Herbert over Tua, but Greer and Ross wanted Tua. So those were the voices that won out. And then you have, I'm forgetting his name, but I'll find it real quickly before we leave here. But he is a reporter for the Miami Herald, and he's an insider for them. So he's not just like for a pure website. He is a traditional journalist for a newspaper, and he's an inside man. He knows everybody, has spent his career in Miami. He was talking about how and he mentioned it in his article that came out yesterday or this morning. It may have been this morning or yesterday. This is still all coming out. I want to say his name's like Barry Jackson. I think that could be wrong. He was talking about how he mentioned a couple of times, I want to say at least twice in his article, when discussing the entire Flores situation, that Flores was behind this, because Flores was behind getting Tua, because Chris Greer, who is the general manager, for those that don't know, Chris Greer is the general manager of Miami, who still has his job, and there's a reason why he still has his job. Somehow. He gave a lot of say in who was drafted, who the free agents were that were coming in, who the people that Flores wanted gone, Greer would get them gone, the coaching staff, almost every aspect of the team, Flores had a major voice in it. And even though Greer was the one that signed the checks and turned in the cards on draft night, it was Flores who really had to sign off for that check to go through, for that contract to get signed, or for that draft card to go in. Now, but then I was like, I saw something earlier right before we started where a guy's like, I know for a fact that Flores didn't want Tua or Herbert. It was someone else, and it'll come out later on down the line. And so I was like, I don't know what to take of that with a grain of salt. So there's so many conflicting sides to this. There's so much information. It's hard to figure out what is factual, because they're coming from like someplace like Fanside. Obviously, they're going to have people on the inside. They're going to know people on the inside that have knowledge to all the situations and all the happenings inside the Dolphins organization. So they probably heard something from a trustworthy source. And then the gentleman that wrote the article for the Miami Herald more than likely has really good sources inside too, and is telling them how this goes down. And I've kind of been rambling for a long time now, so I'll try to wrap it up here. But the Flores firing, as best as I can understand it, came down to the fact that Flores, regardless on if he wanted to or not, refused to have any type of relationship with Tua, any type of mentorship with Tua. That is kind of the vibe that I've been getting, because the firing, it seems like to me, comes down to the fact that they gave Flores all this control and nothing really happened, no playoffs, and that he has an abrasive personality, and that's the reason why Ross wanted him gone. Ross doesn't want a guy that's going to be abrasive and isn't winning the big football games, I guess to say.
But I mean, when you finish a season at 8-1, that's gotta mean something.
Let me find this article real quick.
I mean, it really does.
You guys discuss.
There's a couple things I'm trying to sort out here, because
it's very confusing. It seems like every time I jump on Twitter, there's new information that's come out from a different angle.
When I hear stuff like, "Oh, well, he has an abrasive personality," like, you didn't know that before you hired the guy 3 years ago,
right?
Like, you figured that out just now.
So Bill Belichick has got one of the most abrasive personalities in football. This man has had a job for over 20 years.
There's a lot of football coaches out there that have abrasive personalities, and a lot of fans actually want guys like that coaching their teams, because they got to yell at every guy for every time he screws up or gets called for a false start penalty, especially if you live in this parish. And Bryan, you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. My second bone I got to pick with that. Why
Barry Jackson is his name. Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Why are you giving a guy who's never been a head coach in the NFL before that much roster control?
Right.
What's going on here?
That comes down to
there's lots
the big butting heads, and this is the reason why Greer still has his job right now. Greer has his job because he's a likable guy. He kind of, to me, seems like a guy that doesn't put his foot down, honestly, and can't. But what he's done is he has attached himself to higher ups in the organization that have the ear of the owner, and he has a personality that Stephen Ross, who owns the team, likes. And that's what I think is why he still has his job. And he
loves keeping his job more than doing his job, basically.
Is that he's going to do what it takes to keep his job, to. But Ross, in his statements about the team after firing Flores, Ross credited Greer that with how the team has improved over the past few years. Basically, when Flores came in, that was also when Greer was like solely in control of the GM spot. And I like, again, it's such conflicting reports. It's hard to wrap my head around. I'm a fan of the
team is just another dumpster fire at this point. This is what it sounds like.
It's a huge dumpster fire.
So the 19 and 14 in the past 2 seasons, that's the GM and not the coach.
Like, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know.
Honestly, if you want to ask me something that it boils all down to, there's a reason why the Dolphins have had, a dozen coaches in the last 22 years? Because I think Jackson nailed it. This organization has been an issue for a while. They for some odd reason, and Bryan, you'll appreciate the reference, they just can't get right.
They can't.
The Dolphins can't get right. They just can't.
No, they cannot.
And here's the problem. There's a lot of organizations in football that can't get right. I had this discussion with a good friend of mine earlier today. There's a reason why you're going to see the Stephen Rosses of the world and the Ford families of the world and the Khan families and the Mara family. They're going to be up at a podium again at some point between now and the end of the decade. Some of them maybe at least once, doing the same old song and dance about why they're bringing in a new coach, because for some odd reason, they can't seem to find the guy that fits what they need the most. And it's not just the Dolphins. It's not just the Lions. It's not just the Giants. There's probably a dozen organizations I could probably rattle off the top of my head that have no idea what the hell they're doing. Absolutely. They don't know how to bring in coaches that fit what they're looking for. The leash is too short. Things don't seem to work. They don't conflict with, or personalities seem to conflict. How you didn't figure that out during the interview process is totally beyond me, which brings me back to something that I've been asking the question a long time ago. Why do teams and organizations seem to keep following what seems like trends to hire coaches instead of just finding the guy that works for you? Why are you trying so hard to find the next Sean McVay? Why are you trying so hard to find the next Matt LaFleur? Why don't you find the guy that works for you? Why don't you find the guy whose personality and philosophy fits the team that you have? Why don't you find the guy that fits what you have right now and can improve upon what you need? Stop trying to be like everybody else. In the NFL's a copycat league
for you.
And the NFL's a copycat league. We all know this. I love how people are like, oh, well, the NFL. The NFL has not been a breeding ground for innovation or any kind of like coaching genius for a long time now. It's about who you worked under, what systems they ran, and what you decided to adopt to keep for yourself. That's pretty much the three things that get you hired in today's game. That's pretty much it. Or how much you're like the guys that are getting hired the most often. Because
absolutely. Case in point, look at the litany of coordinators that worked under Belichick that had no business being head coaches that got head coaching gigs.
And why is Joe Judge? Why does Joe Judge still have his job?
He does. He got fired.
He got fired.
He officially got fired.
He just got fired.
It was like an hour before we started.
Right before we went live.
Officially gone.
He got fired. It's about time.
How many Joe Judges and Matt Patricias? How many Josh McDaniels are going to get the gig and then leave the team in the 11th hour? How many times are guys from certain trees that we expect to be so prolific and apparently they're not? And that one of the criticism I hear is, oh, Mike Tomlin's coaching tree. Give me somebody in Bill Belichick's coaching tree that's been worth a damn. Please give me one. Give me one. And technically, there is one guy, and he's not even coaching in the NFL because when he did it, it didn't work out. Just so happened he coached for the Dolphins. Funny how that works. Just happened to be Nick Saban. But Nick Saban, for some odd reason, has figured it out in college, and he's found his path. But the rest of the Belichick coaching tree, find me one guy that's actually hit and it worked. I can't find one. They can't seem to find more of them. It's stop trying to find a guy to this coaching tree. Stop trying to find the guy that's most like this guy. And someone's got to explain why the NFL so hell-bent on white coaches under 40 in the last 2 years, because there's been like a dozen of them hired. I have no idea why. None of them have any head coaching experience. But here they go. Here's an whole organization go running into the ground because we don't know what else to do. I need organizations to start using their brains. And I went on this rant earlier today. You're talking about a couple dozen people that own organizations, and these are supposedly very rich, very wealthy, supposedly very business savvy, intelligent people. But for some odd reason, they keep making the same mistakes over and over again and handing their organizations, we're talking about multi-million-dollar organizations, to people who have no damn business being there running the show. And they keep doing it over and over again because they're trying to be like somebody else and they keep failing. Instead of saying, let's find somebody that fits what we're looking for. Is Matt Rule gone yet? Has that happened? Because I'm figuring he's the next one. If he's not gone this year, he'll probably be going around this time next year. I figure he's going to be leaving Carolina soon because everybody keeps making the same mistake. Right. Find the guy that works for you and make it work. Meanwhile, you got guys like Jim Caldwell, who, by the way, took the Lions to the freaking playoffs more than once. Won with the Lions. Actually winning games, and they got rid of him.
You got Eric Bieniemy going into the playoffs yet again, whose name needs to be at the top of some.
Here's the funny part. He's in the Andy Reid tree, but he's the one guy not getting phone calls. He can't put a gun to someone's head and says, give me an NFL job or I'll blow your brains out. He can't even pull that off. But we got all these other guys with very little experience. You got a guy, Brandon Staley, who was coaching lower level college like 3 years ago. All of a sudden he's coaching the Chargers, and no one really knows why. No one knows how. No one has an explanation as to how that guy all of a sudden just became qualified for the job. There's so many questions that need to be answered. Why the hell did the Raiders feel they need to go get John Gruden after a decade-long layoff to give him 10 years and 9 figures? Why was he so necessary? Why was he such a vaunted figure after being out of coaching for a decade? Organizations need to start being held more accountable why they make the stupid decisions that they make. And then you got meanwhile, you got players and coaches, assistant coaches whose careers hang in the balance because an organization doesn't know how to do the thing that makes sense. Now, because for some odd reason, for some 3-week window after the course of a season, firing the last guy, they turned stupid all of a sudden and hiring the next guy.
Now, let me 5 years, they'll be
right back in the same circle all over again.
Let me circle back to something that you just said. And I want to take this to our returning alternate football leagues, specifically the USFL and the XFL. When you said that these organizations need to be held accountable, do you think, in your opinion, and I'm going to ask you this first, Josh, and I want you to chime in here, Jackson, that perhaps springtime football with the USFL and the XFL, do you think that could be something that is used to hold these teams accountable. Because you look at the USFL right now, they just announced their first 4 head coaches last week. One of them is a guy that you and I know very, very well, former Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator Todd Haley. And
Bryan, for the record, I got some stories. I got some good Todd Haley stories for you. I won't tell them on the show. I'll share those with you another day. But they are colorful. They're real colorful, to quote the 40-year-old.
Fair enough. But we also have the XFL owned by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who has pushed back the start of the season 1 more year, which I think is a good idea because it's going to give him a chance to see what the USFL is going to do and to really solidify his product. Do you think that these 2 leagues could be the start, finally, of these teams being held accountable for doing the dumb things and keep the NFL accountable?
They got to be sustainable first. We gotta crawl before we can walk as far as that goes. You know what I miss? And this is going to sound crazy. Maybe I'm showing my age. I miss NFL Europe. Honestly,
Me too.
Because
I do too.
Yeah,
I watched quite a few of those games. They were fun.
I remember that.
NFL Europe was where guys actually got opportunities, where some guys as players got into coaching or maybe got opportunities as players to maybe get themselves in the back door into the bigger league here. I'm more one of those people that's just like, man, bring the Ryan Fire back. I was a Ryan Fire guy. Like, get NFL Europe back in here.
I enjoyed NFL Europe because because the NFL is really starting to get big over there.
And it feels like the time, if you're going to re-immerse yourself, maybe now is the time to do it. I heard the talk about, let's move a team to Europe. No, bring NFL Europe back and re-immerse it slowly. And that gives you the opportunity to not only, keep interest going there, it gives you an opportunity also to maybe start mining talent on that side of the world. I mean, a lot of people aren't ready to think about guys playing football on that side of the world, but there are leagues in certain parts of Europe where players play. Am I saying the next Tom Brady's coming from Europe? Absolutely not. But at the same time, if you know that there's interest there, why not use that to your advantage and use that as an opportunity to at least not only drum up interest, not only drum up fan excitement about it, but use that as an opportunity as a proving ground for guys that are actually trying to get in the league and also guys that are trying to get experience as coaches. That was a thing that was helpful at one point. To your point about the XFL and the USFL, I think they need to be sustainable first. I think they need to show they can get through maybe half a decade of being sustainable and saying, hey, we know we're going to have a season next year. We know we're going to have teams and uniforms to be able to operate. What was the one AAF team that pretty much ran out of money in the middle of the season? Like, you don't want to have those things happen.
That was just the whole league.
You don't need those things to happen. So I'd like to see those
was at the game.
I was actually at that Memphis. Game. It was the Memphis Express and whatever the name of the Orlando team was, because that's when Johnny Manziel was with the Memphis Express. So I got to see Money Manziel, his last live performance in a football jersey. Which it was funny.
Before he played out of the CFL.
Well, he played 2 drives, then he got hit and had a concussion. And then the last time I saw him, he was eating barbecued nachos in blue jeans, sitting next to the team tunnel. But the league collapsed.
Good though, barbecue.
The league collapsed with like 2 minutes left in the game. The league had collapsed with like 2 minutes left in the game, and so there was some like really bad call at the end of the game, and the refs knew it was a bad call, but the bad call just kept the game going.
You're
and
like,
really screwed.
None of us are coming back anyway. So
exactly, and so then they just walked off, and then that's when I got a tweet on my phone, and it's like the league collapsed, and I was like, oh my gosh.
That is one of my favorite stories you have ever told on this show,
incredible.
Jackson.
That's absolutely incredible.
That is like definitely one of my favorite stories.
Like somebody pulled the controller out and everybody just went home.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome. It's terrible, but it's also kind of awesome.
All right, so let's go through the firings that we have so far. And this is an article written by our own Trey Daubert.
Shout out to Trey.
Definite shout out to Trey. We're coming up with some big ideas coming into 2022 as well. We got some big things coming, and I'm still pissed off that more people in the company aren't excited about it, but we're not going to go.
Get excited, people. It's a new year. Come on, new energy, new blood. Let's go.
Exactly. So the Denver Broncos have fired Vic Fangio. I think we all saw that coming. And I feel bad for Teddy Bridgewater because this is a guy who's been efficient all year, but just he's suffering from the fact that he hasn't had good coaching at this level. He is way too talented to be going through what he's going through.
And he had a lot of talent around him, too. It's not like Denver doesn't have weapons, because they do. Broncos got some guys that can make plays. They got some really talented receivers in Denver. So it's not like they got nothing brewing there. And they had one of the better, if not the best offensive line coach in the league. They had Mike Munchak. So
they got a good tight end too.
Yeah, they got a really good tight end. So it's not like Denver didn't have a structure going. It's just I just don't think they could seem to figure it out. Yep. And here's the thing. When you don't have talent and you're trying to make chicken salad out of you guys know the rest of the sentence, that's one thing. When you have the talent and can make it work, that's when you got problems. And I think Denver's one of those teams that just routinely got exposed. And they traded Von Miller midseason, which is interesting.
That was still mind-blowing.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, it sounds like they either felt they didn't want to keep him around or maybe he didn't want to be there. But whatever the circumstances were, you still traded one of your franchise's most iconic guys of the last decade. So there's that too. Possibly your franchise's history, possibly your franchise's most iconic defensive player. And that's no disrespect to a Steve Atwater because that's a Hall of Famer.
Von Miller has meant so much to that defense.
That's what I'm saying.
He got a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, as a defensive player, that's
huge.
That's
as big as it gets. Absolutely. And so to see all that go down in Denver, you kind of look at it going, where was this franchise going? Were they dumping Von Miller because they were punting on the season, but they're still kind of competitive and still winning games, and they're still in the fight against Kansas City in the season finale, and I think they end up winning that one. It's just like, what's going on here? Where is Denver really going? And hopefully they can try to hit that reset button.
Right. Chicago Bears, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy's gone. I think Matt Nagy being gone.
Everyone saw that coming.
Oh, yeah. that was like that is the worst kept secret on the planet Earth. I've got something to say about the Chicago Bears too.
Here we go.
Well, no, it circles back because Brian Flores has officially been sent the invite to interview for the position, and I saw a lot of Bears fans today that were excited. And again, like I was explaining the situation earlier, my feelings about Flores, and it'll tie in here for the Bears. I like Flores. I definitely would have given him minimum one more year with Miami. $74 million in cap space coming up. You've got to let him do his thing in the offseason and see if he can salvage this team. This defense is fantastic. There's quite a few offensive linemen that are hitting the market. There's weapons that are hitting the market. In fact, the Chicago Bears, Allen Robinson, their leading receiver, hits the open market this offseason. I'd love for Miami to go after him, pair him alongside Jalen Waddle there for Tua. Get a running back. Do what you got to do. But I would have loved Flores to come back for another year, personally.
I can't disagree with that.
And then with like, if you're in the same spot, like if they were a 8-9 win team next year, miss the playoffs again, then I could understand a fire.
You could almost justify it.
You could, because it's like you've got a talented team, but you're not going anywhere. Because this is a team that was viewed by a lot of people as an 11 win team and in the playoffs.
Fair.
Yeah. And I think if Brian Flores does take that Chicago Bears job, that's a big deal because that defense has so much talent on it. When you have a defensive-minded coach and someone who I think one of the first things the Bears would double check and make sure him and Justin Fields can get along.
My warning to Bears fans is, yes, you already had him try it with one young quarterback, and it just didn't work out. And you've got another young quarterback, so not saying history is going to repeat itself there. But I saw everybody say this. He's a great defensive coach. Yes, you're right. Absolutely. Had a top 5 defense with Miami over the final 9 weeks of the season where he went 8-1. I said on that alone, that gives him one more season. That should have given him one more season in Miami.
I agree.
Finishing the season 8-1.
He gets a reprieve. It should be at least. He should have gotten
100%. 100%. Now, they also, and I swear, every single Bears fan said this. He just needs to find the right offensive coordinator. He fired his offensive coordinator every year that he was in Miami for 3 years. He's had 3 different offensive coordinators. He had 2 coordinators calling plays on offense this season, and there were rumors that he wanted to fire them both and get a new one for next season.
Damn. I wonder what he would have done with Matt Canada.
So there's
I don't know. You give Matt Canada too.
That is like my only. That's really one of my only red flags with Flores. Now it's a big red flag because
huge red flag.
Offense, you kind of need to score. Saw that with Miami. Defense was playing great, holding teams to 20 points and under, but the offense isn't moving anywhere.
Sound like another team, Brian?
The offense is throwing screens to Jalen Waddle in the end zone. Okay, like in my mind, that's almost as bad as running a QB sneak on your own goal line,
dude. At least y'all were throwing screens to Jalen Waddle. We're throwing the ball to Ray McCloud.
Okay,
that's not Ray's fault. That's a lack of options. That's not a choice.
And also, it's not in your own end zone. You're like the play is not designed, 3-4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he catches it in your own end zone and gets tackled. And not only did you lose yardage, you give 2 points and the ball to the other team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that is the only thing I say to them. All I hope is, and because if it's also true of the power struggle, because Flores wanted more power. He wanted unlimited power.
It sounds like Flores wants that Bill Belichick.
He wanted to go full Emperor Palpatine in Miami because he wanted to basically push Chris Greer completely out of the way, and Greer be GM in name only.
That's he wants. Well, yeah. I mean, isn't that the dream of football coaches, head football coaches in the NFL, to have what Bill Belichick has?
Yeah, the last coach that got that was Bill O'Brien.
Right, and we saw what happened in Houston.
Yeah.
And his name has been popping up for jobs too. And I'm like,
Bill O'Brien's name should not be. He shouldn't even be coaching a Pop Warner team.
Well, here's the reason why Bill O'Brien's in the catbird seat, because Bill O'Brien is currently a student of the Tuscaloosa Institute for Coaching Rehabilitation. So there's that. He's coaching under Nick Saban. He's got a job lined up for him. It's just a matter of where. He's gonna get a gig. But and don't forget, Doug Marrone's down there too. Got a whole bunch of guys. If you want to have your coaching career completely reshaped, go to Alabama for a year or two, coach under Nick Saban, make your name nice and attractive for a job, and you'll get another one waiting for you by the time you get out of your 2 or 3 years. Maybe that's where Brian Flores should go. Have him go down to Tuscaloosa and be Nick Saban's DC for a year or two. He'll come out with a job and be crispy and clean.
I think that's the formula. I've seen Bears and Giants fans googling over Flores, so I think he gets a job. I think Flores.
If Eric Bieniemy isn't coaching one of these, and the final team that the final that we have on here thus far, Minnesota Vikings have fired Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer. I think what Mike Zimmer pulled over on Sunday was probably so egregious. Your receiver's 17 yards away from breaking a franchise record. Let the guy get the yardage, please.
Yeah, I mean,
Mike Zimmer's just
there's a lot there in Minnesota to unpack, because that first half of that tenure, it looked like they were going in the right direction, but they never really seemed to get the quarterback figured out. They brought Kirk Cousins in. It's weird because when Kirk Cousins left Washington, everybody's like, "Where do you think Kirk Cousins is?" I was like, "Kirk Cousins is going to Minnesota." And they're like, "Why?" I was like, "Because that's something Minnesota would do."
Yeah,
you're
gonna spend the moon for this middling quarterback.
Give him the biggest guaranteed contract ever at that point.
They're gonna let Teddy Bridgewater, coming off a knee injury, go instead of giving him maybe a year or two show and prove. Hey, let's prove you can actually still play, and give you maybe a 1-year deal with some incentives attached to it, or maybe a front-loaded 2-year deal. And if it doesn't work out, they can drop you the second year. They wouldn't do that. No, let's go spend money on Mr. You Like That. Let's go make that move. And you're like, wait, what? It just
why?
It was just the most Minnesota thing ever. And this is outside of the fact that they really built well in the skill positions, that they built a pretty good defense that's super athletic and makes plays. And they got linebackers and DBs that can run around and have a lot of speed and make plays in open space. But let's not get the quarterback that fuses everything together and makes this more modern looking team on turf inside a dome look better. They just never really figured that part out. And I kind of felt bad for Mike Zimmer in that regard. But there were also some things that when you looked at Minnesota's games during the course of the season, there were games that were winnable. That Steelers game probably came a little bit too close for comfort when they had such a big lead at halftime.
If the Steelers pull that game out, if Chase Claypool doesn't waste time off the clock,
if Pat Freiermuth hangs on,
makes that catch,
if Harrison Smith and I forget the other safety's name right now, if they don't knock the ball loose from Pat Fryermuth, which was a great defensive play by them.
That was an amazing play.
I'll give those guys credit because they did their jobs
well. I took my hat off to those guys.
Because Ben did his job well putting the ball where he needed to be. Fryermuth did his job well getting his hands on it, and Harrison Smith did a great job knocking it loose. Those guys all did their jobs.
If the Steelers come back and win that game,
if Fryermuth hangs on, it's a different game.
The next day. He's fired the next day.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, there's no matter of when. It's just there's no matter of if, it's a matter of when. But if Pittsburgh comes back and wins that game, not only does it look bad on Mike Zimmer, you're talking about a team now that probably jumps up a spot or two in the AFC as far as seeding goes.
Yeah,
that changes a lot.
We don't need the unicorn of the Jaguars beating the Colts.
I mean, there were so many different layers to that. And I think some of it, and Minnesota lost a lot of close games. This is something I will kind of put as a credit to Mike Zimmer because Minnesota lost a lot of close games that they were in. There was a graphic that they showed. It was a stat of like teams what the records would look like if they won all the close games that they lost and lost all the close games that they won. And Minnesota's record was like literally 8-9. Like it just, or like 9, like it just totally flipped on the other side of it. That's how many close games they played in. That's how many times they were on the precipice of winning or maybe losing games. So for that, I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't all Mike Zimmer. So I would have been like, okay, maybe give him another year. But the way the season ended, I see why they did with it.
I will also say there's a reason why the meme of when the Vikings go up to kick a field goal, you see that picture from Madden where they're aiming straightly to the left. There's a reason why it's a Vikings kicker. The Vikings have been screwed by kickers this entire time too. So imagine if they have a kicker, how many more of those? Like you could keep Kirk Cousins. It's like just have a kicker that's consistent.
I think there's Dallas fans saying the same thing.
That's true.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show. We're going to talk Jackson's buddy boy, Jalen Waddle breaks the NFL rookie receptions record. I want to talk a little bit more about the Bengals because I think the Bengals are going to be a major player in these playoffs, especially Jamar Chase, because I'm still reeling at that Chiefs Bengals game from 2 weeks ago. That was such a beautiful game. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live every Tuesday evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. We'll be right back.
The following is brought to you in partnership by Symbol. Symbol is a new sports marketplace where you can trade shares of professional teams like stocks. You love sports. You interested in fantasy sports without the weekly annoyance of fantasy league upkeep? Then Symbol's the app for you. With Symbol, fantasy sports is going to a whole other level. How it works is simple. You buy Symbol shares for your favorite sim teams on the app. When your sim team wins, you get automatic cash deposits, and you don't lose any money when they lose. That's it. So if you follow trends across football, basketball, and baseball, and you think your team is a sleeper, simply invest in your favorite sim teams on Symbol and watch your virtual portfolio prove you right or wrong. And if you want to get in on the action right away, Vendetta Sports Media's got you covered. Go to symbol.app/Vendetta and use our exclusive promo code Vendetta, and you'll get a $10 bonus when making your first deposit. Symbol, taking fantasy sports to a whole other level.
All right, we're back here on the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. Oh, it looks like we lost Jackson. All right, he'll be back. I'm glad to see, though, that it's not my system that's causing the issue. You know, I got the new computer, so I don't have to worry about freezing all the time as of yet. But I am still joined here.
The night is young.
Yeah, it is. It's very young. But I am joined here by Josh Taylor, my buddy, not yours, Trey. Remember that. Know your role, Jabroni.
That was him. That was him, Trey. It wasn't me. It was Bryan. We're good,
man.
We're good, Trey.
All right, so Josh, there's that's right. I'm gonna find here because one of the segments that we do whenever we talk NFL is that we've been doing the Max Murphy storylines and takeaways. You know, Thunderdome, as I've been affectionately calling him, Mad Max Murphy. And I'm looking to pull it up here. There it is. The Week 18 biggest storylines and takeaways. And I want to. Wow. What? Yep. And of course, here we are. Here we are. Yep. And of course, here we are. Here we are. I have no clue what the hell's happening right now. All right.
Apparently, we entered a dungeon and didn't know.
All right. Yeah, I guess so. All right. You know what? I'm gonna take us to a break, and I'm gonna see what I can do about this. I'm gonna take us to a quick break, and I'm gonna see what I can do about this.
The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16-ounce bags, or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12-ounce, 16-ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the U.S., go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the U.K., go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers.
I figured out exactly what the problem was. I went to a site, and on the site, when we're live on Twitch, it streams. And I usually have it always mute on my laptop. It's always muted. So there we go. There's the first hiccup of the new computer, but that's operator error, not computer error.
So window and a window and a window.
Yeah, pretty much.
You win Inception of yourself, dream inside a dream.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. All right. So Thunderdome has his biggest storylines and takeaways. He always does an amazing job. We had him on last week discussing a few things. So one of the bigger ones that we had, one of the top one that he had, the Raiders punched their ticket to the postseason.
Bryan, I gotta stop you real quick because
Oh,
Josh, I got some sickening news here, man.
Oh boy.
Fouché has announced where he's transferring to.
Oh boy.
It's LSU.
Oh, come on.
he said he didn't want no more fried chicken. He wanted gumbo.
They just stole the boot off of him, man. They didn't steal the boot. They beat him, and they just took the boot off him. Now you going over there? That's just
And they just got the tar kicked out of them too in a bowl game.
Like, come on,
in
man.
the year.
You got beat down by Kansas State. Come on. Of all places.
Yeah. Anyway, Bryan, sorry.
It's all right.
Terrible.
So
Blue pig anyhow.
Blue pig.
Wow.
All right. Wow. So this is what Max had to say, and I'm going to paraphrase through it a bit. The season of hell, Derek Carr and Rich Bisaccia and they dragged the Raiders to the playoffs with the big win over the Chargers this past Sunday, which all of us here in Pittsburgh, we didn't care as long as there wasn't a tie.
Right. We didn't care.
Hey, listen. The Chargers screwed that up. There was a tie in place.
Really did.
It was like divine intervention that there was going to be a tie and that both those teams are going to get in the playoffs. And they called timeout. It's like, oh, it's going to be like that. Okay.
They let the Raiders reset and like, all right, well, I guess you want us to win the game, so we'll just go ahead and win the game.
But one thing that I really enjoy that Max put in there, after firing their head coach midseason, and then their star wide receiver, basically, he's never going to see the streets again. This team really rallied together. And a guy that's been vilified in Oakland / Las Vegas, and Derek Carr, he's the main reason for it. So,
Josh, our true to life series about the Mayock and Gruden era Raiders, it just keeps writing itself, man.
I'm telling you, man, it's better than playmakers. It's better than playmakers. Truth is stranger than fiction. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know. Do you think it's better than Blitz the League or Blitz 2?
Oh, man.
I'll tell you one thing. Those are games that need to become backwards compatible on the next-gen consoles.
That would be fantastic. That would just be amazing.
Or just get us a new Blitz game.
Yes. Get us a new Blitz game. Get us a new NBA Jam game. Like, just,
Yeah.
NBA Classics, baby. Let's go.
NBA Street Volume 3.
Bring me back. What was the Def Jam fighting game that they had?
Oh,
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's get
Why
that
not?
back in too. Like let's work those in. Let's start bringing the
Absolutely.
classics back. Is all I'm saying.
I'm all for it. Well, I'm already mad that I might have to get a PS5 for the KOTOR remake, but it's only going to be it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive for like a year, and then it'll be on Xbox.
I am purposefully holding out until we know for certain what's going to happen with the next college football game.
That's a good one.
When I find out which console it's better on, that is when I'll buy my next console, because I don't know about you guys. I literally played a game of NCAA 14 earlier today.
Ooh,
but that remains my favorite game out.
Yeah,
right now.
it's a
that game.
When the next gen college football game is out, that's when I'm deciding my console.
Josh, have you seen like YouTube videos and stuff of the college football revamped?
Yes,
the mods
my buddy Greg has
done.
one. My buddy Greg, my old producer of radio, he has it and he loves it. He thinks
it's fantastic.
I have not. I got to sit there and actually go through the process. I'm very nervous about going through it, but I got to sit there and actually go through it.
I've got a PlayStation simulator emulator on my PC, and then downloaded the game, and then that's what I play it through.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna have to send me those.
Huh. Okay.
Can you
make sure your virus protection's up to date?
I got Mac
just in case.
I want to do it through my PS3, and my buddy told me what I have to do, and I'm like,
the PS3 it's tough, but with the PC process. it's literally you have the game on the file, because I'm not going to say that I have done this, but it is you can potentially find the game out there, like the actual game of NCAA football 14. It could potentially be out there. I don't know.
If you know the right people.
Again, it's just something you read on Reddit. You don't know if you can take that for factual, that it's out there for download. But then you have the college football revamped mod that you download, and it's literally unwrap the file through a zip reader, drag it, place it. You're good to go.
I'm going to work myself up to where I actually am able to sit through it and just. I'll get there. It
looks beautiful. And they do such a good job too. And EA's talking about how they had to take half of their Madden crew to put on this. It's like, just hire the guys that are doing this.
Get the original dudes, because they got it right. Mm-hmm. The gameplay on that game was better than any Madden game they've put out since then. The gameplay is, I won't say it's flawless, but it's so damn close.
Oh, it is so close.
Great. The way it moved, the way the entire gameplay goes, even 8 years later, 9 years later, it's still as smooth as you're going to find.
Every so often, I fire up my 360 and I play NFL 2K5, because that to me that's my favorite. That's my favorite of all time.
Okay, all right, I hear you.
So, with that being said, I took us down that rabbit hole. That's on me.
You sure did. That's all right though. It was worth it.
Worth it.
All right, so definitely a shout out to the Raiders and a shout out to Derek Carr, because if Derek Carr is not their starting quarterback, they're not getting that done. They're just not. But if there's any, honestly, this is a guy now. I'm not sure what his contract status is this coming season.
I think he has one more year left on his deal.
If I'm the Raiders, I am just like, look, here's a check. Give me a number and give me the years, because this is a guy that you can continue to build a franchise around.
Well, here's the issue, because they still got to find out who their next head coach is going to be.
That's good.
So they can't make a decision on Derek Carr until after they're done in the playoffs, because they got to figure out, all right, who's going to coach this team next? Does that guy want to keep Derek Carr? Because if that next coach says, hey, I wanted to start all over again with another quarterback, they're going to have to make that decision. And they're going to have to decide, hey, what are we going to do with him? A, and B, if we decide not to keep him, where are we sending him to? So there's a lot of decisions they got to make.
I bring someone in that's all about keeping him.
I would too, but you're not going to find that out till you go through the interview process. So there's a lot of stuff for them to sort out.
That's a good point.
But it comes back to organizations doing the thing that's best for them. It circles right back to that conversation we had at the top.
What's Salad Bowl Cut gonna do?
Oh my God! If you're a Raider fan, you got to be like, okay, how's he going to screw this up now? They have to pay John Gruden all that money.
He's gonna find a way. He'll find a way.
At least I'm assuming that they do, because I don't think they fired him with cause. They're going to pay him a lot of money to go away.
I mean, it could.
Good luck.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that develops.
Good luck.
Jags and the Colts season. You want to talk about a team that we were rooting for Carson Wentz. We were rooting for this team.
I was rooting for Jonathan Taylor.
Hey, Jonathan Taylor,
and
you want to
Darius
talk about
Leonard.
Yeah.
And Malik
Hey,
Hooker,
shout
I love
out
that freaking defense.
Shout out Darius Leonard. He's a big Memphis guy, big Ja guy. Welcome to the dark.
He's a guy that when I look at, and this is no shade at Terrell Edmonds. I look at Terrell Edmonds and I look at Darius Leonard, and I'm like, I point at Leonard, and I'm like, the Steelers could have had that guy.
Yeah.
And they took this guy. Once again, nothing against Terrell Edmonds.
No, nothing. I mean,
but if I could pick
really
Terrell Edmonds,
steps, but still,
and Darius Leonard,
going with Darius
give
Leonard,
me the other guy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: this is the same team in the Steelers that had drafted Javon Hargrave a couple years before out of South Carolina State. And so you had to know Darius Leonard was around, and you let that guy fall. I'd rather have that guy in retrospect. That's all I'm going to throw at that one.
And if I'm the Steelers, I'm definitely kicking myself because, dude, Javon Hargrave would have been very, very useful on this defensive line this year.
Honestly, that was a tough situation because he had to get paid. And it was one of those.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
pay to keep Javon Hargrave, but you got to pay Cam Hayward too. That's a lot to do at the same time.
I mean, I can understand that. I just kind of look at it as you really wish this is a season where you wish you still had him.
Guys,
oh, absolutely.
Yes, it's okay. You could have been the team that took Charles Harris in the first round instead of TJ Watt when you were in need of a outside pass rusher.
Yeah,
Man has a point.
That is a very good point. You know what? We have no cause to fuss.
And that guy still has a job.
Man has a very,
very valid point. That's a good point by you.
Point taken, sir.
And you know what? I will take a final parting shot at the Colts. And Thunderdome said it best. If you couldn't beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, you don't even deserve to be in the playoffs.
You didn't deserve it. And
at all.
No.
It's terrible because this was a team that they looked like a team that there was a team that was built for December and January football. It was Indianapolis, wasn't it? Really good defense, outstanding running back, good offensive line play, hopefully seemingly competent quarterback that they can get into the playoffs, maybe knock somebody off on the road, make some noise, maybe get to the second round, and Lord knows, maybe even the AFC Championship game, but make this a much more interesting playoff field.
Yeah.
And then you go to Jacksonville and
lay the egg. The wrong time to lay an egg.
Now, granted, history is telling us, history is telling us that they don't do well in Jacksonville, which, all right, fine, because the Patriots don't do well in Miami. We know that too. History tells you what history tells you. But to lay it down in that game, I don't know.
And of course, Trey, who actually messaged me on Slack, making the executive decision, put my comment up. Darius Leonard, 17 tackles in the Senior Bowl game.
I get to go to that. I'm excited. Special announcement.
Nice.
I got media credentials to go to the Senior Bowl game, so I will be in Mobile February 5th.
I got a couple buddies that'll be there too, so
nice.
Might have to connect you a couple of my people that are going to be there.
Heck yeah.
They're not guys that work with me, but they're guys that I've done some stuff with in the past.
Let's see. So the 49ers get that win over the Rams. And that's why Trey said what he said, because Jackson is going with media.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Boots on the ground. J Lob, Mr. Boots on the ground.
I would love to go to a Senior Bowl.
I'm getting boosted on Friday. I'm getting my hotel, and we're gonna be good to go. The booster is a requirement to attend, so I'm getting it to be there. But
good.
I want to go there. I want to go there, and I want to be safe. So I probably got it in anyway. So
no complaints here whatsoever.
Absolutely. Now, one thing the Thunderdome says, and this is something that I want us to talk about, with the Rams losing this game, the big takeaway that Thunderdome had was they can't win the Super Bowl this year. They cannot. What do you guys think of that?
If that is true, then someone in LA is going to have a lot of explaining to do because they moved damn near heaven and earth just to bring in Matthew Stafford. He was the guy that they needed left. He was the remaining piece. They've even gotten healthy at the running back position. It was supposed to be the point where the Rams had no flaws. They even went and got OBJ off the scrap heap. They did everything they needed to try to put this team together, this roster from 1 to 53 that's supposed to be really good on paper. So if you can't do that, it's going to look really bad. On the other side of things, on the San Francisco side, Brian, this is something that you and I could probably discuss later. I hear a lot of people saying, I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo. You watch that game against the Rams and you don't want Jimmy Garoppolo? You see what he did against LA? That's Jimmy a guy Garoppolo, I might want.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
And he's another guy on last year of his deal. I might want that guy.
Jimmy Garoppolo is the type of player that he's going to have some rough games. But he's also that guy that when it's crunch time, he's getting the job done.
And to your point, here's the argument, because I've heard that argument before, and like, oh, well, he has his issues, but he can make plays in the clutch. I'm sitting there going, so how is he different from the guy that's leaving? Notoriously slow starter shows up in the second half and goes nuts. Like,
right?
Does that really change anything at all?
Not at all.
Jimmy Garoppolo took a team to the Super Bowl, just happened to run into Patrick freaking Mahomes and the Chiefs at the time. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not holding that against Jimmy G. Took a pretty good team to the Super Bowl.
I think the next.
I'm going to pay for that experience every time. That's all I'm saying.
And
honestly,
for this.
Sorry, go ahead.
Jackson. Oh, no, I was just going to say this 49ers team, they haven't been completely healthy ever since the Super Bowl ended. And yet like here they are. They're back. But here's the thing, they're still not fully healthy, and they're back in the playoffs. And they play in arguably one of the best divisions in football.
I'd say
and they snuck in there.
Football.
I'd say the best division. I would say it's the best division in the NFC West. And I'd make this claim, and this is going to sound weird. If Russell Wilson doesn't get hurt so early, they could have had 4 teams in playoff contention.
Absolutely.
If Russ doesn't get hurt that early in the season. My co-host Greg on the Sunday Morning Grind podcast, before the season started, he had all 4 AFC West teams in the playoffs. He got 3 out of 4 right, and an injury to Russ probably makes him completely right. So
I agree.
That too.
I agree.
Yeah, I will definitely be paying much closer attention to the 49ers because their offense coordinator, Mike McDaniel, is interviewing for the Dolphins job. So,
okay.
Which early research, I'm not upset about.
Scratching chin. Interesting. I'd keep an eye on that. And I'm glad you brought up the fact that this team, for some odd reason, has just been, I've never seen a team go through injury hell like San Francisco has. It's really, really insane. They've got a super talented defensive front. They've got a really talented offensive line. They can insert running back name here, drop him in the backfield, and that guy can go off for 125 in one night. Like they've got everything you need. And they've got talent outside at the skill positions too. They've got
Debo's amazing.
Debo Samuel's fantastic.
Insane.
I'm glad he's getting a chance to do his thing. Kittle's one of the best tight ends in the game. San Francisco's got talent right now. So if they're going to make the move to Trey Lance, okay, fine. I just hope you get this right because you still got Jimmy G here. And if you're the team that let him go and it all falls apart with Trey Lance, there's only going to be one person to blame. John Lynch is going to have to be calling the carpet for that.
Absolutely. One thing that I definitely, and I already alluded to this, but let's talk a little bit about, and it's not on our show notes, but I want to talk about it anyway. And the show has my name on it, so I can talk about whatever the hell I want.
You're the man.
Jamar Chase is just other effing worldly.
He's a beast.
Now,
Jamar Chase helped me win a fantasy football championship. So
he helped a lot of people.
He did. Check this out. I had him. I had Jalen Waddle, and I had Devontae Smith. I had all those.
How did you manage that?
If you find out, you let me know. I'm like, you're letting me have all these SEC wide receivers at the same time? Don't threaten me with a good time.
Wow, man.
And
I just came Taylor off. Was definitely the lead. He was on there with runs.
I just came off a big fantasy football win. Won my league. So I'm very happy.
Nice.
Thank you, Jalen Waddle. Thank you, Jamar Chase. Thank you, Josh Allen. Shout out to Najee Harris. And this is all well, gentlemen. You'll appreciate this. Derrick Henry on IR for like half the season and still did it. Found James Conner.
What a team.
Found James Conner as a free agent during the season, by the way, and snatched him up.
Wow.
You
were just GM of the century.
I had Kittle on IR the first half of the season, Derrick Henry on IR the second half of the season. But who was my backup tight end, Jackson Law? Hunter Henry Woo-Pig.
Of course.
Hunter Henry Woo-Pig, baby. It was. Wow. I have to admit, that's probably the best team I put together. But having those 3 young SEC wide receivers probably had a lot to do with it, and Jamar Chase being that number 1 guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
That Jamar Chase balled out so hard against Kansas City.
Just real quickly to comment, you had 2 rookie record holder breakers on your team.
And
That's
a Heisman
insane.
Trophy winner.
And a Heisman Trophy winner. How does everyone else in your league let that happen? Let
Dude.
one guy.
You know what I say? Keep telling me that the SEC is overrated. Go ahead. I'll just keep snatching the ball to prime talent. Give me all the SEC guys. All right. Keep telling me they're terrible. I'll just take all the guys that are doing great things in the league now. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All I'm going to say is this: 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, 1,455 yards, 13 touchdowns, 81 receptions. The man is other effing worldly. I'm going to, you know what? It's probably way too soon to say this. But if anybody is going to be chasing Jerry Rice, we could be looking at him. We could be looking at him.
What an apt name, like Jamar Chase.
I know, right? Like, honestly, I see him because this is why I say for chasing Jerry Rice, because he's not built like Megatron.
No,
he's not.
Not
even close. He's not a Randy Moss built player. He is a Jerry Rice built player. He's using speed, he's using work ethic, and he's using skill. He's
natural ability.
Yeah, he's not out muscling people. Not saying that he can't, but that's not the primary of his game.
And having that kind of connection with your quarterback can only help you. And
Exactly.
having the connection he has with Joe Burrow is never a bad thing. I mean, this dude made plays that you're going, how in the world? Not only how in the world did he catch that ball, but he made plays in space. You're like, there's 4 guys within reach of him, and none of them touch him. How did he get out of there? It's just
that. I think
incredible.
it was the second touchdown against Kansas City. I see that, and I'm like,
that's the one.
How?
That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
How?
I want to know how many people got smoked in the film room on Tuesday at Kansas City after seeing that happen, or on Monday, because their coaches got to be like, how did he? And they're like, we don't know.
It just happened.
No one knows.
Coach, it just happened.
Oh my God.
And I mean, I swear, I saw the DeLorean flame tracks behind him.
Oh,
he was running so damn fast.
I mean, he just dropped gears. Let me tell you something. I just bought a new car within the last couple of weeks, and there's something about when you get your new car like on the highway for the first time, and you open it up in the left lane. That's what Jamar Chase did. Like,
yeah.
I can open my new SUV up in the left lane, and it probably doesn't even look like what Jamar Chase did against Kansas City.
What did you get?
That's how good he is. In Infinity.
I got a 21 Nissan Rogue.
I got an 18 Infinity. I got a ridiculously good deal. Friend of the family sold it to me, and I couldn't turn it down. It wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for certain options, and it was like, oh yeah, we got a nice Infinity SUV here. I'm like, sign me right up for that.
Yeah, I got hooked up by my man. I'll give a shout out to my man Jose up at Monroeville Nissan.
Shout out to Gabe McNeil, number 1 Cochran, South Hills Hyundai.
All right, so we both went to number 1 Cochran. You just went to South Hills. I went to Monroeville.
Number 1 Cochran sponsors the sports showdown on KDKA. I gotta go where the money is.
There you go.
Hey, I just went with the guy. I went with the guy when I walked in there. He goes, look, I don't work for commission. I get a salary whether I put you in a car or not. Let me see what I can do for you.
Oh, okay, my man.
So, yeah. But, yeah, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, they are going to be they're the second coming of Montana Rice, in my opinion. And I'm grateful that we see them twice in this division, in this AFC North division.
I mean, I am, but I'm not.
I am, but I'm not. But this is something that I've been saying.
I got to talk about why this is happening the way it is. I mean, it's fun to watch them, but when they face the Steelers twice and do what they did 2 more times a year, I got to get phone calls about how come the Steelers can't do this. Do you see who it is?
Look at who it is.
It's Joe Burrow. They do that to everybody.
But see, this is also what I've been saying for a lot of years. I think I was even saying this when we were kids, and I've said it on this show. I love it when the teams in the AFC North are good, because if the Steelers are beating them, they have the opportunity to go to a Super Bowl. You want your division rivals to be good.
You hate to take the Mike Tomlinisms and use them too much, but iron sharpens iron is the perfect description of what happens when the AFC North has productive teams. Think about the years the Steelers actually have gone to the Super Bowl and have either gone and won or just made it there. If you want to talk about 2010, They went through good teams in their division. 2005, they went through Cincinnati. 2008 and 2010, they went through Baltimore. They had to go through talent that really tested their mettle. So by the time they got to the playoffs, they're like, hey, we've seen good teams before. And they had to go through Cincinnati in the playoffs. They had to go through Baltimore in the playoffs in 2010. Mm-hmm. They had to go through really good teams in that division that made it hard. And Cincinnati won the division back in 05,
they did.
I believe. So, and that was Carson Palmer, Cincinnati before the knee injury, because the knee injury happened during the playoff game.
Thanks, Chemo.
Chemo von Oelhoffen. Shout out to the OG. But like that's what we're talking about here. When that division is competitive, the team that comes out, you know they're going to be legit because of what they had to go through just to get to that point. This year, notwithstanding, because there were issues with the other three teams, but for normal circumstances. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a funny story about that 2008 when they had to go through Baltimore. My ex-brother-in-law was a huge Ravens fan. He was a Ravens fan and a Patriots fan. Hates the Steelers with a passion. So I'm over at their house watching. Yeah. I'm watching the Ravens game, and he's wearing with him in the Ravens and Steeler game. And he's wearing his Ravens jersey. And he got so pissed when the Steelers won. He was furious. And I thought he was going to kick his TV in. And then when they played the Cardinals, he went out. I think he was like rooting for the Cardinals hardcore. Bryan Jr. was a newborn.
Oh, boy.
And he's getting mad and yelling at the TV, especially when Harrison gets the pick six. And I'm like holding Bryan Jr. I'm like, dude, shut up. My kids sleep. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Bryan Jr. I'm like, you are the greatest little good luck charm ever.
I understand the meaning of that now. I understand why that's such a big deal. I get it. It makes sense now. It's important.
Yeah,
I get it.
So, shout out to Bryan Tann Jr., who is going to be 13 in 12 days. Shout out to him. Yeah,
wow. You're the father of a teenager.
Thank you.
Leave it there.
He's already got a smart ass mouth, and he's my kid.
He's your kid.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. All right, we're going to take our final break. We're going to get through some NBA right quick. Ja Morant. Wow. Jamar Chase
yielding my time to Jackson again.
What Jamar Chase did is what Ja Morant did. That's all I'm gonna say.
That block.
And Klay Thompson is back.
I'll get to it when we get to it. I'll talk about it, then I'll save it.
Is back. So we're gonna be back with our final segment. We're gonna talk a little bit of NBA. But right about now, Jackson, are you in the mood for a little bit of coffee? You need some coffee?
I can always use coffee, dude.
Josh Taylor, you in the mood for some coffee? Me too. Let's see what the folks at XP Coffee Company have for us.
The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16-ounce bags. Or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12-ounce, 16-ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the U.S., go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the UK, go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers.
Matches it. Look at him go up and just two hands. Oh, wow. He hits his elbow on the backboard. That's what frees the ball.
His hands from here up are above the square. He hits his neck on the backboard.
He hits his elbow on the backboard. That's what frees the ball.
All I gotta say is when the Hood Classic Above the Rim starring Dwayne Martin came out, they didn't realize they were talking about Ja Morant. And I can't stop watching this.
When J. Cole dropped the line, Ja Morant, I'm on my Grizzly, this is what he meant.
Oh, it gave it a whole new life. He gave that lyric all new life.
The fact that he
was Ja Morant royalties.
Dude, he practically went above the square.
He did. His hands were above the square at the height, the apex of his jump, because he catches his ball on the way down. Is the thing.
That's what freed the ball.
You don't
All
even
I
see
know
that
is
in the slam
this.
dunk contest, except for like 3 dudes. Like,
If I'm Bradley, I'm just like, you know what? I don't even want to play no more. I go sit down on the bench.
I'm looking.
I sit
over,
on the
like,
bench
Nah,
and I'll put a towel on my head.
Bradley's so old. He needs to retire after that.
Can we
He
not
said
talk
retirement.
about Lakers being old and needing to retire? Like,
Bro, okay, no.
y'all know
so
I'm not
I-
ready to talk about
I-
the Lakers. Y'all know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Still don't want to
and
talk. Like from the last time I was here to this time, I still don't want to talk about.
I know. I was
I'm
just
not there.
gonna say
Ugh.
that I've really gotten big into Twitter Spaces now, and like there's a bunch of Grizzlies ones that I jump into and talk, and they're really fun. But I got into some Lakers ones. Oh my gosh!
Oh, don't do that to
Like,
yourself.
No, I didn't like speak. I was
That's
just
like
in the
that's like
background.
getting into Steelers Twitter.
It's probably great entertainment, though.
Oh, they were melting. They were melting apart. I've seen Halsley, however you say her name. I forget how to say her name. She's a big Lakers fan. Oh, she was having a meltdown. She was having an absolute meltdown. I made a video, put it on her YouTube and everything. She was talking about how Desmond Bain has a loud ass effing mouth and that she doesn't like him. And there's videos where like, I wish I could find the transcript of LeBron, because Bain got under LeBron's skin and oh my gosh, it was just, it was beautiful. It was immaculate. I hate to say it to you, Josh, but because it's your Lakers, but you're one of the few good ones. So, you know, but oh my gosh, it was amazing. And to see LeBron get as angry as he was after 3 nights before, he makes a dunk to go up 6 points on the Kings and is screaming, "I'm a mother effing problem."
Yeah.
Desmond Bain starts doing a little bit of John, and he's like, you need to shut the F up. You're not balling. You're just talking trash. I'm sick of it. You're done." And stuff like that. It's like, I love this Grizz team. They're going for 10 in a row tonight.
I love that Grizz team, man. I was working, now bear in mind I was working in Fayetteville 6-7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And since Memphis was so close, I would show Grizzlies highlights there and there because you know the 2 teams that bordered Arkansas, or the 3 states that bordered Arkansas, east, west, and south. You had Oklahoma, so you had the Thunder on one side, you had the Grizzlies on the other, you had the Mavericks beneath you. So it's like, all right, I can kind of draw from those teams because I knew people that lived in the state probably rooted for those 3 teams. So I can show a little bit of highlights here and there. Yep. And the Grizzlies back then 7 years ago, those teams were fun and interesting. And Oklahoma City went to the finals that year. Was it 2012 or 2013? So you had some fun teams to really look at. But even then, I'm like, okay, Grizzlies, I see you happening here. But this team now, way more fun than that team was. If I'm a Grizzlies fan, I'm having a time of my life.
Yeah,
it's a fun team to watch.
Man. The great thing about this team, they're the second youngest team in the league.
They're only gonna get better.
And if they win tonight, now it's a tall order tonight because they're playing Golden State tonight.
True.
But if they win tonight, that is their 10th win in a row, which is they currently hold the longest win streak in the NBA at 9 wins. Could be their 10th win, and they will be the 3 seed. If they win tonight, they will be locked in at the 3 seed because the Jazz lost last night. They will technically have the same record, but Grizzlies beat the Jazz earlier in the year, so they have the tiebreaker. So at that time, they would be the 3 seed. But they are also 5 games ahead in the 4 seed right now. So
all right, wow.
They are. It's a wonderful time to be a Grizz fan, and I am welcoming Grizz fans with new Grizz fans with open arms because
so there's seats open on the bandwagons.
There are seats still open on the train. You know, they're going to be the crappy seats. You know, you're all going to be really tightly packed in. You know, it's not a lot of room for us up there that went through the season where we had 29 different starters because of injuries, or like those of us that were sticking through. And it's like, okay, it's time to rebuild. It's time to rebuild. We're still going to support the team. We're still going to go to games. And then the basketball gods bless us from jumping from like 9th to 2, and then Zion can't stay healthy, and so now getting the number 2 pick looks like a godsend. It's getting so bad. The national media is starting to compare that draft of getting Ja second. They are comparing it to Greg Odom and Kevin Durant.
Oh,
Wow.
That's what they're
Oh, man.
comparing it to. KD
That's
went
rough.
to Seattle, and we know what KD turned into. Greg Oden couldn't stay healthy and is out of the league.
It's rewarding when you're a fan of a team that long and you've seen them go from the doldrums to being a team that people actually respect, and you're seeing the results happen. It's a fun process to watch. Bryan and I, we saw it happen in Pittsburgh. Bryan will tell you, we're talking 25 years ago. I was probably one of the biggest Penguin fans I knew. I was rocking with the Penguins in the mid to late 90s, when they were going into the X generation years. And, Steve McKenna was one of the focal points of that team. And you can walk up and get student rush tickets and be in your seat in 10 minutes. Like I was a fan of the Pens back then. I was a huge Penguin fan. I'm talking back to 1988-89 when Lemieux had 199 points. That was the first year I really became a fan of that team. And we saw what happened from the 80s and 90s and what happened after Jágr got traded in the pre-Sidney Crosby days to what's happening now.
Oh, man.
So when you see your team get to that point where everybody's like,
and
okay,
they become the elite.
They become what you hope they eventually are. It's fun to watch that process. So I'm excited for you, Jackson.
Yeah.
I want to see this come to fruition.
And another tidbit to drop, because I could talk Grizzlies like all night. Like
I'm sure you can.
I could like hours upon hours every day, all days of the year.
I can appreciate that.
I could do that. Ja Morant's numbers, his third year leap. Do you know whose numbers match up? He's either matching or better in his third year. It's another point guard in his third year. Former MVP, Derrick Rose.
Wow.
Third year, Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose's MVP year. Wow. Ja Morant is matching or beating his numbers. Ja Morant is shooting around 40% from three.
I just hope his knees hold up. I just hope his knees hold up, because Derrick Rose to me is the biggest what could have been if his body holds up. The fact that Derrick Rose beat LeBron in the MVP voting that year, and then his knees just go.
It was one of those things where, like, Derrick Rose, if you remember how Allen Iverson played.
Yep.
I mean, Allen Iverson was the smallest guy on the court, but for some odd reason, he was just the toughest.
He was bigger than everybody.
And the way he played like he was 6'7". And you're like, man, I just hope he stays healthy, because Allen Iverson, I mean, he put himself through it every night. And then you saw D Rose, and you're like, man, I just hope D Rose stays healthy. And he just never did after a certain point. And you're right. It's one of those, man, what if D Rose could have stayed healthy during his career the same way AI did, and could have gotten the best out of those peak years? It would have been one of the better careers we've ever seen if he would have kept in that trajectory and stayed healthy.
For your sake, Jackson Law, I hope that Ja Morant's doing DDP yoga. Hold back the hands.
Absolutely.
We
know Najee Harris is.
His muscles, ligaments, and tendons strong and healthy.
We know Najee Harris does yoga.
Yes, he does. He needs to start doing DDP yoga, though, with me. He needs to become a Bryan Tan client.
Hey. There you go. Get him on the
podcast.
Matter
of fact, Josh Taylor, it's the new year now. It's time for you to get started.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk. Yeah. We'll discuss. We're trying to work the schedule out. We'll discuss though. We're
all right. Sounds good. All right, so we're gonna finish it off here now. Klay Thompson, 17 points in 20 minutes. 3 of 8 behind the arc, and he's got his 12,000th career point and 1,800th 3-pointer. Congratulations and welcome back to Klay Thompson. Are the Golden State Warriors now the favorite coming out of the West with Klay Thompson back?
I mean, I think they were beforehand, just from the way that they were playing. They have so many role players that have stepped up. Curry's been a bit of a slump, but Draymond is playing like the old Draymond again. You got players like Jordan Poole, Kevon Looney, who have really stepped up, especially Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole has established himself as like the step splash bro right now. And just Klay coming back is icing on the cake. And it was 940 plus days from when he finally stepped on the court again. And you watch that intro to the game, and it's chills and it's goosebumps, and you forget like how much these dudes at the end of the day, like, yes, they're getting paid millions of dollars and they're some of the most famous people in the world. But Klay, after the game was talking about, he said that feeling when he's getting introduced, when he hears his name called for the starting lineup and he's taking off his warm-ups and walking on the court, he like emotionally was comparing that to the first time he won a championship. He said it was on that euphoric of a level, and just the mind to come back from an ACL tear and then blowing your Achilles, like as soon as you got back. Like that does something to the body. It does something to the mind.
Yeah.
And just to get physically ready to play in the NBA at full speed again.
Three things I'll throw out here. Number one, I felt Golden State was, I'm like Jackson, I felt Golden State was probably the favorite for a good while, if not all along. But here's why Klay coming back makes them dangerous, because you mentioned all those younger guys that they're starting to load up with. Golden State's getting younger. That should scare people.
They had Moses Moody and Kuminga in a G League game last night.
It's nuts how much young talent they have. And I like the way they did it. They used the fact that they had a couple of down years and they just started collecting talent in the draft. They're ready to reload. And they're like Omar. They keep one in the chamber in case you ponder it. So I like the fact that Golden State's getting younger. And I like the fact that with Klay back, they get back to what they were when they were winning championships, not just because of the guys at the top, but because when Golden State was at that level, they were at that level because the top was good, but because also their second unit was that good. Mm-hmm. They had a second unit that could start for a lot of teams in the league. When you get to a unit like Golden State that can be younger and still have energy and bring more stuff to the floor, that makes them that much more dangerous. That's what made them dangerous when they were winning championships before. So now you get Klay back, and some of those guys that were chewing up minutes while Klay was gone, they're getting minutes probably on your second unit now. Or maybe Klay starts out in your second unit, maybe works himself back in. But the point of the matter is, you now got two units that can run with anybody. And when Golden State has that, they are so dangerous. And that's what makes me love that.
And that ACL and that Achilles looking good.
Right.
Yeah.
The second thing I'll say about that is I'm glad to see Klay finally getting the appreciation that he was probably due all along. Because there has been, is it just Steph, or is it Draymond, or is Klay really that great, or is it just a sidekick? Klay Thompson's a very skilled NBA player. He's got outstanding pedigree. Those of us are old enough to remember his dad. You knew his dad was a problem back in the day, so it should not shock you. So to see Klay getting the respect and the admiration that I think he's been due all along, I think that's huge for him. I'm really excited for him. The third thing I will say, and I'll turn it over to Jackson in a second. But the third thing I will say, Bryan, you'll appreciate this. I was not as excited about a return like this since CM Punk came to AEW. CM Punk coming to AEW was like huge for me. Klay was pretty close. It was really, really close.
Well, you look at the severity of that injury. I mean, God, over 900 days out.
Exactly.
And the only time that I saw a leg injury that bad, I can't remember. The kid played for the Clippers. You know who I'm talking about. It was either the Clippers or the Bullets. But it's like you saw him go for that dunk, and his entire knee just came off.
Gordon Hayward comes to mind too.
That was so sad.
That ankle was horrible.
That was tough to watch, man. That was really, really tough to watch. I actually saw an injury like that. A Duquesne St. Joe's game I was calling play-by-play for. You'll appreciate this. I was doing it with Ellis Cannon, Brian. This was a game that was actually on
Planet E.
This game was on cable, and Duquesne was playing St. Joe's, and there was a player for St. Joe's who had a really, really gnarly knee injury that happened right there on the floor. And I remember when it happened, you see the player on the far end of the court. He's just sitting there screaming, holding his knee. And I looked down, and like the way my viewpoint was lined up, I can see from the bottom of his foot straight up his leg, and where his kneecap was supposed to be here, like this is the leg and this is the kneecap. The kneecap was like over here.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm looking at it like mid-game, I'm like, oh, Ellis, this is bad. This is not good.
Yeah.
You know, like we went to a break. The truck is just like, we can't even show the replay of this happening because it's that bad. You see injuries like that, and you feel terrible for the people.
Sean Livingston was the guy.
Okay.
Yeah. If you don't remember.
Yeah.
And this is young Sean Livingston. This is pre-Golden State Sean Livingston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, he had a lot of promise.
Yeah, well, that's why it was such a big deal when he went to Golden State and did what he did with Golden State.
There it is. Oh man, that's tough to watch now.
Yeah, it's hard to watch even now. And I mean, I'll put those up there, especially with when God. And as someone whose knee has done something like that, and Josh, you were in the house when my knee did that.
I remember. I do remember.
Because I even remember when Sid Vicious, aka Sid Justice, when his leg broke jumping off the top rope against Scott Steiner. Those leg injuries just make if you've never had one, you'll never appreciate that feeling that hits you. when you see it happen. So to see, Klay come back and as dominant as those clips showed, and that exclamation dunk saying, I'm not worried about my knee. You don't need to be worried about it.
Yeah,
Good for him, man.
That's all in the mind. Doing something like that and you walking away okay, all the doubt goes out the window.
Yeah, that's a confidence booster unlike anything else. That's a huge dopamine hit. All of it at the same time.
And Josh, I'm glad you mentioned a minute ago about Klay getting his recognition. He should have been getting his recognition
exactly
before KD got there. After KD was there, he should have 100%, because at the height of this team, he's bouncing around between a 22 point scorer a game and shooting almost 45% from three.
How is that ever bad? How is that ever bad?
I can't think of a reason that's bad.
And what's scary, his first game back, he's already shooting. He shot close to 40% from the field, 40% from three, and scored 17 points. Hasn't played in over 900 days. There are dudes that have been playing basketball their entire lives in the NBA and have never scored 17 points in a game,
which is crazy.
And they're career role guys.
If you think about it, that's crazy. But you're absolutely right, man. For him to get back to where he is, and it seems like he's just back to his game. And if he can keep his confidence at that level where he can continue to play at his game, that's only great for him. It's only great for Golden State. I'm happy for him, man. I'm so happy for Klay.
I am too. I think that it's really one of those. It's a redemption story, isn't it? It's one of those massive redemption stories of. It's one of those mind over matter redemption tales.
Yeah,
and he's an all around. By all accounts, he's considered an all around good dude, which
he's
makes
one of those
easier
guys,
to root for those kinds of stories,
right? Because you want to see him succeed,
right?
You want to see him do well.
Yeah.
He was part of the charm and he was part of the charm and charisma. Why, when the Warriors started winning games, why they were loved, and it was like even when
they were easy to root for,
they were easy to root for. And then Steph started doing like acting like he was taking a crap at center court of other people's arenas. But Klay was always still there. Klay was always likable.
Steph made the heel turn, man. He made the heel turn. Had to be done.
I mean, sometimes you have to go heel. Sometimes you have to go full heel.
Yeah,
you have to.
I love Trae Young going heel. I love that.
That was great.
I love it. Trae Young. I want heel Trae Young all day now.
I think in sports you have to have a villain. You have to have a villain in sports.
And the fact that he became the villain for the Knicks, oh my god.
Oh, that's great.
I
love it into my body.
I love Nick villains.
First game this year, they don't even play the Atlanta Hawks, and they're screaming F Trae Young outside of the arena.
Is that not the greatest thing? When you can make a fan base like that hate you that much.
And Josh, just another reason for you to love the Grizzlies. It is on record. The Athletic posted an article, and it was talking about how. And the quote was talking about the Grizzlies. One exec said they talk the most shit of anyone in the league. These young guns in Memphis, they don't give a. They don't care. They do not care.
Bryan can attest to this. Bryan and I went to Shinley High School, one of the greatest institutions of learning ever built. It was the first $1 million school ever built in the United States, for the record. One of the finest institutions ever erected. And if you went to Shinley High School, you probably did one of three things well. Probably sang, played basketball. Actually, four things. Sang, played basketball, talked trash, and played cards. You probably did at least one of those things pretty well.
Yep.
For me, 3 out of 4 wasn't too bad. I wasn't much of a ball player. I could swim a little bit, I could play a little bit of cards, and I could sure enough trash talk. And that was that was part of the identity.
I did too.
You could, if you went to Shinley, you walk down that hallway, you were probably talking trash and snapping with somebody. That's just
even if you were the nerdiest kid, you could talk smack.
Dude, even the ESL kids could talk trash with the best of them by the time they graduated. Mm-hmm. They could come in as freshmen and not know the language. And by the time they were seniors, they were talking trash like everybody else just walking down the hallway. It was part of the ethos. It was part of the ecosystem. You can't be a Shinley kid and not know how to talk trash.
We were the Pittsburgh version of the U.
Oh, absolutely.
Back in the 90s.
Absolutely.
All we did was trash talk.
I got family members and cousins. They were like, you Shinley guys think you're better than everybody. And we're like,
because we
are. So?
Because we are.
Prove us otherwise,
when I was still talking to my younger brother, because my younger brother went to Perry, so that's one reason why I stopped talking to him.
We'll let him slide. Nobody's perfect.
He was trying to say, well, my high school is at least still there. And I said, the only reason why Shenley's gone is because we were just making the rest of y'all look bad.
Somebody they had to even the herd somehow.
It was all political. It was all political.
It was totally political.
It was absolutely political because of the fact that there's asbestos in the building, so we can't do anything to fix it. A couple of years later, maybe a decade later, they fixed it up enough to turn into luxury apartments.
Sure enough, did. My sister wants to move there. She doesn't live too far from the school, but she wants to rent her house out and then move in so she can live in Shenley. Like that's her plan.
I wouldn't mind doing that. I wouldn't mind doing that, but you know what? I'm so happy being a homeowner now that if I went back to living in an apartment, I'd probably strangle somebody.
No, I can't live in Shenley with a wife and a son and a pit bull. Just they're not going to.
Yeah, same here. Mine's down here laying at my feet, just like, you know what? I've had a long day of being a dog.
they're always long days, right? In their eyes.
Yeah. But I feel bad for her because it's been too cold for me to take her for a walk because she's used to going for 45-minute walk a day.
Yeah, it's rough out there. It's super cold in this part of the.
It's hard for pimps out there today.
It's cold in this part of the land. It's it's bad when Boston's colder than Anchorage. That's how ridiculous it is right now. But well, it'll warm up soon. But yeah, to Jackson's point, man, if you can be that team that's all trash talkers. I love that team, man.
Absolutely.
I love that team. That's the one that's going to get under your skin. That's the one that's going to be in your fans' heads. That's the one that the old guys aren't going to like, but the young dudes are like, man, I'll take that every day.
Just to read the headlines from Twitter and everyone talking, it's just the saltiness. It sustains me. It's beautiful.
You mad, bro?
It's why people hated the U. It's why people hated the Pistons.
It's why people hated the Knicks.
It's why people hated the Knicks. It's just I love stuff like that, man.
Give me all
the smoke.
I've never seen a team
that's why I hated the old Bengals, but I love the swagger.
Yes.
I loved it.
I have never seen
Welcome to the Jungle. Even the House of Pain Oilers back in the day, they had a little bit of it too. Like I'll respect that in a heartbeat, always.
I've never seen a Memphis team embody what Memphis is than this Memphis team does. If you want to know what it's like around Memphis, just hear how these dudes talk, how they carry themselves, just everything about them. That is Memphis.
Little whoop that trick going on.
Shout out to the future.
Listen, man. There ain't nothing better when when the forum's packed. It's 20,000 people. I went to the first playoff game against the Utah Jazz. It's the first playoff game in like 3 years. This first game that fans could really go to in mass capacity after the pandemic. Was nothing like it when Whoop That Trick started. They had Al Capone there at the game.
That is cool. I love it. We're probably all going crazy. I love that. That's awesome. That is so great.
Just a couple minutes to just geek out and fan out like that.
That's a black and yellow and Heinz Field moment for us, Bryan.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's a renegade moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll tell you one thing right now, that this variant better not interfere with the NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs, because I will be pissed.
I will have to intervene in some way.
I am gonna have to put on my deity cape.
I'm hoping that this goes through smoothly, man. We gotta, just for our own sanity, we gotta see this through. I'm looking forward to seeing this NBA playoffs. I think it's gonna be really, really fun.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna make a prediction right now. If the Omicron variant does not cause issues with the TAN event of April 2022, then the playoffs are going to be A-OK. I'm calling it.
I'm very much looking forward to the TAN event of April 2022.
Yeah, we're reestablishing the list. We got everything ready. Josh Taylor almost got the call. Hey, I need another groomsman. Josh Taylor almost got that call.
You know where to find me, brother. I'm ready to go. Trey, me and you, baby. We go get some time and we're gonna hang out and chop it up for a little bit.
I have to sneak Trey in because our guest list swelled up from 130 to 152.
Been there.
So I think I'm.
And then you're still gonna have people that come no matter what.
They're just gonna show up.
My wife and I.
Oh, there's always. There's always.
Yeah, there's always.
What can you do? What can you do?
Right. I mean, hey, listen, folks show up. I can't say you can't come.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Did you
I
bring
mean,
something?
it worked out for us
Sometimes they
because I
do.
think we had a couple people that weren't expected, but we had extra seats because we had people that couldn't make it at the last second, so it worked out. But
See, it was nice for my wife and I because we had
in there.
like we had extra seats and everything too in the church we got married at. But then, like, they were at least kind enough to bring gifts, even though they weren't invited. So
Hey, that's even better.
That's professionals right there.
That's
it
right.
was. I was like, okay, we're
And
even.
do it.
We're even.
And,
We're
and
even.
gifts are very, very important. And our friends at Monkey Knife Fight have a gift for you. If you are a first-time user of Monkey Knife Fight, use our promo code Vendetta to get a 100% instant match on your very first deposit up to $100. It is the gift that, well, it only gives once, but it's still an amazing gift. So shout out to our partners at Monkey Knife Fight, our proud sponsor of Vendetta Sports Media. And go to the Vendetta Sports Media shop, vendettasportsmedia.com. You'll find our shop there. And use our promo code Cheese to get some Big Unk merch because, hey, we're going to be pushing the Big Unk. And make sure you especially go to vendettasportsmedia.com where you can get all of our content, every last little bit. Follow Josh Taylor on Twitter at Josh Taylor HD. Download the Odyssey app. Go to 93.7 The Fan where you can listen to Josh Sunday mornings. And where are you at? You're on there during the week as well, correct?
A little bit more sparingly during the week, more of a fill in the role, but Sunday mornings is usually my bread and butter. I'll be on 7 to 9 this upcoming week. A little bit of an altered schedule because of the Steelers being in the playoffs, so we got to alter our pregame coverage a little bit. But 7 to 9 a.m. this upcoming Sunday. If you're up in the early Sunday morning, get on the Odyssey app and grind with us, man. We're getting it in.
Yeah. Now, what are some of the things that you talk about? Because I know you've been talking. I know you're going to be talking about the Lashley Lesnar promo.
Oh. You know what? I
Burial.
I gotta go back and watch it because I actually haven't seen it yet.
From
I
what
was
I
watching National
understand,
Championship last night, so I gotta actually go watch it.
from
But
what
I
I
probably
understand,
will.
it was actually a burial of it was a lot of folks. Vince Russo has made it a point to say that he thinks that Paul Heyman is politicking to bury Bobby Lashley with that promo.
Wow! I gotta go watch it now. But I do talk wrestling on my show. I'm probably one of like 3 dudes in town. Me, Mark Madden, and Justin LeBar. Shout out to LeBar, that's my guy.
Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Mark Madden, but because I'm a DDP guy.
He's an acquired taste. I get it. It's understandable. But I do talk wrestling on the show. It'll be probably pretty much all Steelers all the time. I'll probably talk a little bit of college football playoff because that national championship game just ended. College football remix is usually one of my bigger segments I get into. I usually recap every week with like just the whole global aspect. So I'll talk about the national championship game for a little bit. I've been calling Georgia the Roman Reigns of college football the entire season. So they kind of lived up to the billing, and I was calling that game Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, and
I'm happy to see
lived
Brock
up to the
Lesnar
billing.
get beat.
Yeah,
I love to see
beat
Brock Lesnar
Roman
get
beat
beat,
Brock.
no matter which iteration of him that I get.
Yeah, Roman beat Brock, so I'll be talking about that Sunday too. But it'll be a lot of Steelers talk. A little Penguins sprinkled in there too. Shout out to my homegirl Angie Carducci. I have her on often, so I'm sure I have a lot to talk about from 7 to 9 on Sunday.
Yeah, sadly, the Penguins couldn't make it 11 in a row, but that's okay. It was a great stretch. Evan Rodriguez is insane. Evan Rodriguez is insane.
Evan Rodriguez has been fantastic, but Geno Malkin's back tonight, so that's
going to be amazing.
They get Geno back. That's huge.
Yep.
And, we're talking about Clay coming back for Golden State, Geno coming back for the Penguins.
That's a huge deal, right?
Not as big of a deal, but it is a big deal.
It's still big in hockey. It's big here in Pittsburgh, as we've definitely been missing them. You can catch that game 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because they're playing the Ducks out there on the West Coast. No Charlie Conway in the lineup for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. You think that's going to hurt them, Josh Taylor?
I don't know, man. They got Captain Adam Banks. They might be all right.
If you don't get the references, then you're not old enough to be my friend. All right. And make sure you follow Jackson Law on Twitter at JLaw1995. J Law is going to be doing all of his talking about his Memphis Grizzlies. You got some gaming series that you're putting out there as well too, right, Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's all trying to figure it out.
I hear you.
Very nice.
Yeah. I still realize I'm gonna have to change our Patreon bumper because you're not doing the maximum football anymore.
Yeah, that I'm glad to be done with that game. To be honest, that was a slog to get through.
That game is really, really difficult to play. I bought both years of it, the last 2 years of it, just trying to support an indie publisher, but the gameplay is just not fun. I like the college aspect, but the gameplay is just not fun. And make sure you follow the show, the Tanndemonium VSM on Twitter. I didn't put up a poll this past week. I had a lot of things going on, but I am going to put up a poll this week of which playoff game do you guys want me to live tweet. I'm actually going to start. I'm going to start moving away from starting now because I did this last week. I mean, the week before, and it seemed to go okay. I'm feeling like, people might be getting tired of me doing the Steelers all the time. So it's giving people the opportunity to pick which games they want me to live tweet. So
I'm looking through the schedule now. Even I'm curious.
So I'm going to pick a couple of games that I'm going to put on there. And then I'm going to, if the game that you want isn't on the poll, put it in the reply. And whichever one wins the poll's going to close Friday night at 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time.
I got my vote.
Okay. What's your vote? Are you going to
Cardinals Rams, man?
Cardinals Rams.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a Saturday or Sunday game?
That's the Monday night game.
Oh, that's the Monday night game. Okay. Even better. All right, cool.
No competition. You can do it. That's the only game that's been on right there.
Hey, that's good. That's a good call by you on that one. So yeah, I'm gonna put them up there. And if you're, like I said, if the game that you want isn't a part of the poll, put it in the reply. I figure I'll start doing that. That way it'll give me a chance to check out some teams that I wouldn't normally watch, and maybe it gets people away from me talking about the Steelers all the time because
But to be fair, the Steelers are in the playoffs, so
give yourself a breather. Gotta give yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I do college football remix, man. Because I can talk Steelers and Penguins all day. College football remix gives me a little bit of separation, and I love college football, so I can wedge in a little bit of a mention of Arkansas here and there whenever I need to. So I show love to the whole stopping ground. But yeah, you got give yourself a little separation. It helps you appreciate it more.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, and real quick before we go, one thing that I do want to say, we started to talk about this, Josh, on Sunday. It said football people get the importance of a Mike Tomlin non-losing season better than the fans do. So I want to close out with you having the chance to say what you want to say about Mr. Labriola.
I'm not gonna necessarily talk about the man, because if you've been around this parish long enough, you kind of know how that works.
Yeah.
The statement itself, it comes off as kind of high-handed. I think there's a measure of truth to it, but I don't want to say it's football people and non-football people. I would say that it's people that appreciate that this isn't easy.
Right.
And there's people that just think everything should be handed to you. And there is a subset of that fan base that just assumes that, because you have X, Y, Z, that everything else is just supposed to happen. A lot of things have to fall into place for you to be a playoff team. Take Seattle, for instance. That was a team that's probably supposed to have a much better fate, but your quarterback gets hurt. Steelers 2 years ago was supposed to be a much better team, but Ben Roethlisberger gets hurt after 6 quarters and doesn't play again. That was a team that probably should have made a deeper run, but you lose your quarterback and everything falls apart. There's so many things that have to happen for a team, regardless of how talented you are. A lot of things have to happen for you to make the run and chase a championship. It just doesn't happen just because, this team looks great on paper, it's supposed to happen to you. It's not. Go ask the Bills from the 90s about that. It never happened for them. So there's nothing that's ever guaranteed. So yeah, not having a losing season, it shouldn't be a football people versus non-football people thing. It should be people that have perspective about how hard it is to be a good team consistently, or to be a team that's above 500 consistently, or a team that's in the playoff hunt consistently. We're not talking about, a few years here and there. We're talking about for the better part of 2 decades where, every Ben Roethlisberger team never had a losing season because they were in the hunt most of those years. That's not easy to do. That's not easy to do year to year under normal circumstances, much less over the course of nearly 2 decades. And if you're Mike Tomlin, who has been a head coach for a decade and a half, that has that to his credit, he's the only one that does. If you're in a fan base like Pittsburgh, where the expectation is so much higher, okay, they may not seem like enough for you. But there are other fan bases that love and respect what Mike Tomlin's done, because they're like, man, we kill for a guy that can pull that off. As much as people have talked about Bryan, this team, and all the faults that it has, the fact that it got the 9-7-1, that's a miracle. They're in the playoffs. That is a miracle. There are teams that are not in the playoffs wondering how the hell did we not get in? And they're probably more talented than the Steelers are. So the fact that they were able to overcome so many problems, so many, setbacks and so many warts that this team has and still be a playoff team, you can't sit there and say, oh, this team is so bad and Mike Thomas coaches so badly. He got them in the playoffs. They weren't supposed to be there. No one had them there. No one had this team with everything that happened.
I didn't have them there.
I didn't have an expectation of being in the playoffs, but here they are. And what else are you going to say? Yes, the AFC is not as good as the NFC is. Fine. But you got to play who's in front of you. What are they supposed to do? Say no? Well, you know what? No one expects us to be here, so no, we're not going to take a playoff spot. If you got a chance to be in there, you're going to try to contend to do it. So, yes, there should be a better appreciation for being a coach that has never had a losing season and you've been in contention for so long and so consistent. There should be an understanding for that. And I heard people say, oh, well, they haven't won a playoff game in so long, and who cares about regular season? How you get into the playoffs if you can't win regular season games? That's kind of the prerequisite to get into the playoffs. You need that price of admission. So if you're a team that's constantly winning regular season games, that means you're going to be able to contend in the playoffs because you're winning regular season games. That is the price to get inside the door. You got to be on the list to get in the club, right?
Right.
You got to get on the list by winning regular season games to get into the playoffs. If you want to get in VIP, you got to win playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. That's just how it works. And I'm just using the club analogy because it was the first one that jumped into my brain. But it's still somewhat valid. And you can't sit in VIP if you can't get in the club. So there's something to be said about that.
There you go. So that being said,
it's the best analogy I've came up with on the fly ever.
Yeah. If I can end, we started with Flores. We're going to end with Flores here. Okay. This is big. This is to officially put this out there so that a way revisionists of history can no longer do this when it involves. This is from Omar Kelly. This is a short thread that he posted. I'll read the whole thing. It's super short. Omar Kelly is I would say is viewed by Twitter as the guy when it comes to the Miami Dolphins. He writes for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. He says, here is the fact about Brian Flores, Chris Greer, and Justin Herbert. If Flores wanted Herbert, because that's been the big thing. That's something that Colin Cowherd even mentioned today on his show, that Flores wanted Herbert and Greer wanted Tua, and it's no wonder that Flores is gone. This puts this all to bed.
I'm all ears.
If Flores wanted Herbert, that would have been the pick because Chris Greer would have given his head coach the QB he wanted, which we understand that to be true if it's true that Flores had as much power as he did.
Right.
This can't and shouldn't be debated anymore, so stop spreading fiction. Brian Flores demoted Fitz, replaced him with Tua because he needed to see what Tua was. This is fact, not fiction. Flores soured on Tua for whatever reason and didn't do enough to foster a good relationship with him. Fact, not fiction. We are not going to rewrite history. And it was also the entire organization, not just Flores, who wanted Watson. That's Ross, Greer, Flores, assistants, and players who wanted and maybe still want Watson over Tua. We are not going to rewrite history, not going to allow it.
Hey, there it is.
Okay, then.
Here's a name, Jackson, for you to marinate as we depart. Kellen Moore.
I've heard his name.
There's a guy out there. If someone wants an offensive coach, and this is based on everything we've talked about, if there's a guy that deserves a look as a head coach, Kellen Moore.
I think whoever it is, they need to be an offensive-minded guy.
Yep. Kellen Moore with those receivers. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to just leave it there.
All right.
That's so fun.
So with that being said, Josh, thanks again as always.
Speak on Flores.
We'll see you. We'll see you the second Tuesday of February. We'll probably then be talking about. We'll probably be talking Super Bowl by then.
Super Bowl.
Probably.
We'll be talking Super Bowl by then.
We'll have to discuss offline. There may have to be a little bit of an alternative schedule because I'm starting to get back into some of my more regular things.
Okay, fair enough.
Regular happenings. So second Tuesday might have to be altered, but we'll figure it out.
No, we'll figure it out.
Indeed.
Whichever Tuesday you're able to do. How's that?
I want to be here for whatever Tuesday I can be here. So we'll
that
work
sounds
it out.
Like
sure.
a plan. That sounds
Absolutely.
like a plan. Either way, we'll see. We'll have Josh back in a month. I guess now we'll probably be shifting. Well, we're going to still be talking NFL. We're going to be getting more talk into the NHL and the NBA. And then, of course, Trey can stop fussing at us because soon it'll be time to talk baseball.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Get it together, MLB. Get it together.
Seriously.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
But with that being said, he's Jackson Law. That's Josh Taylor. I'm Bryan Tann. This is the Tanndemonium Sports Show, broadcasting live on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Vendetta Sports Media. Proud member of the Vendetta Sports Media Podcast and Network. We'll see you guys next week.